But sometimes AI still makes things up. We call these errors hallucinations, and they're often worse than just making a mistake.
But in an actual way, for large language models, it's not hallucination at all. Just before 2 weeks, Anthropic company and Claude on its media responded to the most questions about hallucination in chatbots. But it may be actually very different from how and why hallucinations occur in chatbots, particularly large language models. And I'm going to say that hallucinations may never occur with chatbots and also cloud in reality. It may be totally different, and just this company, a worker may lie to us about all hallucination in chatbots. In the first place, we know mostly about hallucination, at least not from its name, but its effect and experience from the chatbots, especially the early models of ChatGPT, when AI chatbots started to evolve. First, let's see how this company worker replies to hallucination, why it occurs in cloud, then talk about it a little.
If AI is so advanced, why does it sometimes make stuff up? My name is Jordan, and I work at Anthopic. We make Claude, an AI assistant, and we do a lot to make sure it gives you accurate information. But sometimes AI still makes things up. We call these errors hallucinations, and they're often worse than just making a mistake, because the AI will appear very confident, or even try to convince you that it's right. Hallucinations can show up in a lot of ways. The AI might cite a research paper that doesn't exist, make up fake statistics, or get facts wrong about real people or real events. Here's what it looks like. You ask Claude to tell you about some papers written by Jared Kaplan. It confidently gives you answers. None of those titles actually exist. Claude hallucinates much less than even a year ago. Honestly, it took us a while to find an example like this because we put a lot of work into reducing hallucinations in Claude. But that's kind of the point. Hallucinations are hard to anticipate, hard to catch, and the wrong answer often looks exactly like it could be the right one. And since hallucinations are becoming more rare, people often don't bother to check the AI's work. So let's talk about why this happens, what we're doing about it.
At this point, I'm going to make it clear almost all of the chatbots, including Claude AI and ChatGPT, works in a way our minds function. That's why it's called neural network. It's all based on the mechanism of neural network. And how our brain works is a little open to debate. Some people think brain functions on a by saving the information on a single part of the brain, but some people say every part of the brain is connected to each other, and in this connection it creates aspects of brain, it creates the scenarios in our brain. And the most proper answer is the second one. And also, hallucination may occur in human life, but not in chatbots. Why? Because what AI and especially Claude AI is doing when answering wrong questions, it is trying to create the most possible scenario from what it has in its memory. It's not creating anything itself. It's not creating the wrong scenarios for itself, and that's why it's mostly confident about the answers. It can answer confidently even when it's just making up the story. And this story is not made up actually. It is based on the most possible scenarios from its experience. It would be experience for human, and it can be data or this just database for AI. That's why it's not hallucination for AI. It's just configuration.
And how you can catch hallucinations when you use AI. AI assistants like Claude learn by reading huge amounts of text from the internet. They get really good at figuring out what words or ideas typically come next, kind of like how your phone suggests the next word as you type. This works well most of the time. But when you ask about something obscure, like this works well.
And at this point, that's why I'm asserting why configuration is different from hallucination. Hallucination is clearly creating wrong scenarios, but configuration is a little different. In configuration, you create the most possible scenario, and this scenario may be wrong because your experience may lack, or this experience may be very distant in your memory. That's why it's configuration in large language models, not hallucination.
Kind of like the tongue. But when you ask about something obscure, like specific research papers from a relatively unknown researcher, there just isn't enough information for the AI to draw from. So it tries to be helpful and takes a guess. And sometimes that guess is wrong. It's a bit like asking a friend who's read every popular book and takes a lot of pride in knowing all of the random facts about them. But because they want to seem like the expert, they sometimes say something confidently wrong instead of admitting, I don't know.
I would say to a certain point, and in terms of his explanations, I totally agree. He's explaining why Cloud AI may make wrong or just the most possible scenarios for itself, and it may be turn out wrong overall. And it explained to the users how we can avoid it in a simple way. But in an actual way for large language models, it's not hallucination at all. And this man, this Anthropic company worker is just lying to us. It's not hallucination, it's configuration. And configuration works totally different from hallucination. And by not saying it's configuration, it's also denying certain mechanisms, certain ways of working in our brain, and certain theories about how brain works and how neural network actually functions.